Thanks for joining us. I'm Allison Patton.
And I'm Donovan Varney. Welcome to Newswatch.
And it's been a pretty chilly day here in Athens, and to find out if these colder temperatures will continue, let's send it over to forecaster Steve Nedley.
Yeah, guys, unfortunately, this cold is going to stick around at least through the end of the week. But it was a pretty pleasant day other than that, as we had highs as high as 52, and those clouds started to move into the area. Now, it's pretty set up all throughout the bottom half of the state that we're really looking at these low 50s, high 40s. But as we continue up north, that's where our temperatures start to dip a little bit. And along with that, we're also seeing some rain that's coming into our area. So a little bit cooler temperatures, but also some rain that's moving into the area. And now I know that looks like it's going to be some heavy rain, but it's going to break up before it gets to us. And so it's just going to be some lingering sprinkles here or there as we head into tonight and into tomorrow morning. But again, as for tonight, those overnight lows aren't going to be as low, as we're only getting into we're getting into the low 40s because of those clouds keeping some of that heat in. And then looking into tomorrow, again, we're going to have those temperatures jump a little bit back up to 59, but again, those showers are sticking around. That's a majority just going to be the morning, so that's you have to worry about your morning commute, and it will taper off as we head into the midday, and it will return again for tomorrow morning. But stay tuned for my full forecast to see how long this rain sticks around.
Thanks, Steve. Gallia County is asking residents for their input as they update their hazardous mitigation plan. In the wake of severe flooding from multiple storm systems, the county's emergency management agency wants to use community members' input on how recent issues were handled. The plan must be updated every 5 years. The last plan was passed in 2019. To provide your feedback, you can visit the agency's Facebook page. President Donald Trump announced today that he's applying a 90-day pause on most of his recent tariffs as his trade war shakes the world economy. He also announced he is raising his tariff rates for one specific country.
Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook is at the White House with the details.
A big announcement from President Donald Trump himself this afternoon. He took to social media to say that he was enacting a 90-day pause on his new tariffs for some countries. But in that same post, he said that he was raising the tariff on China to 125%. In his post, he said, quote, "At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable." This comes after the United States slapped further tariffs on dozens of adversaries and allies overnight, with the biggest target being China. China then turned around and retaliated, upping the tariffs on U.S. goods.
When you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder.
Conversely, the White House says that about 70 countries have reached out to discuss trade. And Trump says that those who have, quote, not retaliated in any way, shape, or form will receive a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period.
We have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker.
The president says that both that higher tariff rate on China and that 90-day pause for some countries went into effect immediately. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The strength of the U.S. dollar fell to a 6-month low. An index that measures the dollar against certain other major currencies was down nearly 0.9% this morning. That's even lower than the level it dropped to last week. Experts say a weaker dollar is not usually how markets respond to U.S. tariffs. Higher U.S. tariffs would normally boost the dollar by lowering American demand for foreign goods. This expert says the dollar's weakness may reflect a clear and present danger to the U.S. economy.
Markets soared when President Trump announced on social media that he's pausing some of the tariffs that took effect overnight.
The big leaps and losses over the last week have been something to watch, even for households without major investments. That's because of what they can mean for consumer prices and for jobs.
Karen Kafa has more.
President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff plan has unleashed turmoil in the stock market.
If you're like me, I am first generation in the stock market. So to see these type of drops is heartbreaking and very scary. And we need to acknowledge that and say, it's okay that you're scared.
When investors believe in a company's ability to deliver on the goods and services they've promised and consumer demand for them, that company's stock often becomes more desirable and pushes a company's value higher. Losses across the 30 diverse companies that compose the closely watched Dow, from Apple to McDonald's to Walmart, mean investors are anxious about what broad tariffs in a global trade war mean for the future.
The longer this lasts, the more of an economic drag it is, with uncertainty both by the consumer, investor, and certainly people that run companies. And the longer that lasts, the more real economic damage we're doing.
When a company's stock goes down, they can eventually be challenged to make decisions about infrastructure, like hiring and the number of people they can continue to employ. They may also hike prices to cover costs, which can also squeeze consumers. And for those lamenting retirement losses as the market has turned down, experts say it's important to look forward, not back, and stay on top of that money.
What's really important to you always, whether you're taking a loss or not, is what will do well ahead.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is seeking a lead role in a securities class action suit accusing a drug company of hiding the cancer risks in their product. The suit is against the company that makes the drug Zantac, which is used to treat heartburn and acid reflux. The filing alleges the company hid a study from 1982 showing that Zantac can break down into a cancer-causing compound. At one point, Zantac was the highest-selling drug in the world before it was taken off the market in 2020. It also claims the company continued to downplay the dangers to investors, costing them millions. Yost represents Ohio's retirement system, which alleges it lost over $14 million. Schools in Athens, Hocking, and Washington counties are receiving funding from the latest round of Super Rapids grants. The grants provide funding for equipment upgrades that will better prepare students to enter the workforce. The funding will go to Ohio University, Hocking College, Washington County Career Center, and Washington State College of Ohio. These are just 4 of the 39 schools getting grant money. A total of $8.3 million distributed in this round of funding will go toward upgrading lab and classroom spaces.
The Ohio House passed its version of the state budget, sending it off to the Senate. The bill passed along party lines with a 60-39 vote and allocates about $30.1 billion for fiscal year 2026 and $31 billion for fiscal year 2027. Some controversial items were passed in the latest version, including a provision changing how schools use their funding. The bill puts a 30% cap on cash carryover funds for schools, an increase from the original 25% cap. Carryover is funded through property taxes, so if they go over the limit, local taxpayers will receive a refund. It also changed how public libraries are funded from a set percentage in Ohio's public library fund to a line item. The bill now needs to go through Senate and a conference committee. The American Library Association is suing the Trump administration. The ALA says the Department of Government Efficiency put most of its staff on leave and canceled grants it provided to libraries and museums. It also says DOGE fired all 23 members of the National Museum and Library Services Board. The ALA's complaint says these actions are unlawful. It's asking a judge for a preliminary injunction to force the Trump administration to reverse those actions.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is under pressure to deliver a legislative win for President Donald Trump. The House is in session for only a few more days before it adjourns for a 2-week break. The president wants the chamber to pass a massive budget deal that will make permanent tax cuts he approved during his first term. The budget blueprint also provides money for border security along with major spending cuts. But not all House Republicans are on board yet with the Senate's proposed measure.
Their plan is unserious, I think, is the bottom line. If you were to look at the Senate plan, what we see is they're proposing $4 billion in cuts over 10 years. We got a $2.25 trillion a year structural deficit that needs to be addressed, and they're not really addressing it.
While Johnson met Monday night with members of the House Freedom Caucus, he has threatened to keep members in Washington through the weekend if they can't come up with a budget plan. But Johnson said he expects the plan will pass along party lines. USAID has told its entire foreign workforce that they will be laid off by mid-August. That's according to an internal memo seen by CNN. Foreign service nationals make up more than 40% of USAID workers. They aren't U.S. citizens, but take part in U.S. diplomatic missions for the agency. Some have been employed by the U.S. government for decades. The layoffs come as the Trump administration works to dismantle the humanitarian agency, transferring some of its work to the State Department. The laid-off workers will have to reapply for their jobs.
Coming up, Trump's tariffs are wreaking havoc on businesses, how Walmart is adjusting to the economic uncertainty.
And we're just days away from tax day. If you are still filing your taxes, don't worry. What experts say you can do to make your filing easier.
We have more rain in the forecast. Stay tuned to find out when you can expect a break.
This is the most powerful weapons system known at this time.
This is the first combat submarine. Cutting-edge technology.
The science that helped shape history.
I've never experienced or seen anything like this.
Doing experiments, shooting these weapons, helps give us a better understanding of the soldiers who fought in the American Revolution.
Revolutionary War weapons on Nova.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of stock is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
We had a pretty pleasant day, all things considered, here in Athens, and we really needed it after how last weekend went with all that rain. So we got a little bit of a break from that today, and we only got to 52 degrees, but that's better than what we were experiencing just a few days ago. Now, unfortunately, that break is going to come to an end tonight as we have this low pressure system that's coming in from up north, and it's going to bring the three things we don't like: rain, clouds, and the cold. So none of that's going to be awesome. And we're going to expect a break later in the week as we get into the weekend, but for right now, we're in for it yet again. If you can take a look at this map, it really starts to represent where these temperatures are coming from. It's going to pull it down from the north, so obviously that's going to be a little colder. And you wish we could get some of those temperatures over from the Midwest. That's 74 in Kansas City, that's 79 in Wichita, but we're going to have to wait until at least Sunday until we start seeing those. Now, again, it is also going to bring some rain with it as we're going to start seeing this now. It looks kind of heavy on radar right now, but it will begin to break up as we start to experience it tonight. So it won't be anything crazy, and it will die off by about tomorrow morning. But that's really going to start being a pattern we're going to start seeing. Tomorrow morning, Friday morning, you can expect that rain, but it will die off as we go throughout the day. Again, for tonight, expect that rain, a low of only 41, but we are going to have that cloud cover, so it's going to keep our temperatures a little higher. Again, looking at tomorrow morning, we're going to see that widespread rain move into our area, but then, again, as we move into tomorrow night, it's going to start pushing off, and you really won't see that widespread rain. You might see a few drops here or there. And then, as we get into tomorrow, 59 degrees. Again, those showers at 90%, so that's pretty guaranteed, but again, a low of only 41 because of those clouds. Now, this is where we start to get a little interesting. Again, Friday morning, that rain is around, but then it starts to push off as we get into that daytime, and that's really when we're going to start seeing that break, and that's going to start a really nice Friday night into a Saturday and a Sunday, and then we're going to start to see that front move in on Monday. But as we take a look, we really start to see a pattern set up here. Again, that rain is around us until Friday, and then it kicks off. Those temperatures kind of stay around, but that sun starts to heat us back up on Sunday and gives you a little bit of false sense of hope before that rain comes in on Monday and drops those temperatures back down by Tuesday. And looking at model runs, this is just going to be par for the course for the foreseeable future. So unfortunately, again, you really can't take out any of that rain, those raincoats, you can't put those away. You can't put away your winter jacket. I know a lot of people had those on yesterday, but we really aren't sure when we're going to see a full break So it really is April showers bring May flowers, but we're really seeing those April showers right now. So be on the lookout for your updated weather forecast as we are expecting more rain.
Steve, why are we seeing all this rain and all this cold? I'm ready to put the winter jacket away, break out the shorts, the sundresses. What's going on? Why?
You know, I know we all are, but unfortunately we have a lot of moving systems around and really nothing's setting up for us. So we're seeing sunshine one day, rain the next, and really can't get a grip on what's happening. So
yeah, all that rain, you know, I thought we were going to get a little bit of break. There was so much flooding down here too.
Exactly.
You could walk around the bike paths and everything just covered in water. It was pretty bad, but got a little break here, which is nice. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or is this going to bring any snow our way?
Nope, we're good.
Woo! All right, that's all I really need to be happy is no snow.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Steve. In other news, Walmart pulled its projected finances from view this year. The company says that there's major uncertainty with tariffs on China and other tariffs being paused. In a news release, Walmart says it wants to maintain flexibility as tariffs are implemented. Although the superstore pulled its data, it did say sales are expected to grow by up to 4%. Delta Airlines also pulled its finances today, another indication companies are struggling to plan for the future because of tariffs.
Yeah, Delta Airlines is warning investors that the current trade war is going to be causing trouble. According to Delta's quarterly earnings report, they say its revenue will likely fall this quarter. It's also expecting stalled growth. The airline had initially forecasted revenue to rise at least 7% in quarter one. Instead, it grew just over 3%. And quarter two will be even slower. Despite the busy summer travel season, Delta says it may only gain 2% in revenue or could even drop by the same amount. President Trump says any price increases from tariffs will fall off when more companies produce in the U.S., but that's not necessarily true. A tech analyst says iPhones would cost about $35,000 to make here in the U.S., and that's because companies would have to remake the highly complex ecosystem needed to make them. And the system already exists in Asia, meaning it would cost Apple $30 billion to move just 10% of its supply chain into the U.S., a process that would take likely 3 years.
The countdown to file your taxes is ticking. With about a week left to file, experts say now is a good time to start the process or risk penalties for filing late. Jen Sullivan has last-minute tips for filing your taxes.
Time is running out to file your 2024 taxes on time. You have until 11:59 p.m. in your time zone on April 15th to send your federal taxes to the IRS. But experts say the sooner you start, the better, because it can take a lot of time to complete.
I've seen some people take up to 30 hours just because the understanding of the tax law is confusing.
Travis Belton is a tax accountant. He says you can file for an extension, but warns there may be fees.
There is a penalty for underpayments if you have an over an amount of $1,000 or more. It's called an underpayment penalty.
If you owe more taxes than you can afford, you can apply for a payment plan through the IRS's website. But the IRS recommends you pay as much as possible before doing that.
Installment agreements are usually supposed to be up to 18 months and can be spread out over time.
According to the IRS, the penalty to file late is 5% per month on the unpaid balance. But if you work with the IRS and pay at least some of what is owed, you can minimize the late payment penalties. Be warned, the interest rate is 7% per year.
It's encouraged to pay as soon as you can in order to avoid additional penalties and interest or consequences.
Filing your taxes will take longer for anyone who's had a life-changing event in 2024, like getting married or having a child. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Coming up, how psychologists suggest you can cope with everyday stress.
The Ohio Art Corridor is a destination experience. We would like this to be the largest outdoor art gallery in the world.
Portsmouth was able to field an incredible team for a brief moment in the sun that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship.
We got land granted to us in Ohio. Great opportunity. Let's go. How would you know you got here? It was just sheer determination and patience and just hard, back-breaking work.
The bridge was acclaimed at the time of being an engineering marvel.
Progress is all about taking the lessons of the past and doing better. So I would hope that now that we know better, we will do better.
This is you on the cusp of your next chapter.
It's a passageway into something new.
It just seeps into you.
It's a groundbreaking moment.
We can make it ours.
We're coming out hot. We're starting here. It's definitely going to be a treat for their palate.
What a story.
She had the imagination of a genius.
Each time I go up there, it's the sense of newness.
3, 2, 1.
Showtime. We're all running, running, running.
It's beautiful. Cherish every moment. Continue to laugh.
We hope you'll join us.
There is no going back.
It's time for a new beginning.
Knox County Public Health officials confirms today 14 cases of measles. That's out of the nearly 600 cases across America. As cases spread around the country, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now urging people to get the measles vaccine. He says it's the best way to prevent the disease, although he also says he won't mandate people to get the vaccine. One Texas health official says there's already been a rise in vaccinations.
I think for parents that are very open to vaccine, we're going to see them move and start vaccinating their children at this early age. That's going to protect those individuals.
So far, 3 deaths have been connected with this outbreak across the country, with 2 school-aged children in Texas and an adult in New Mexico, all unvaccinated. The Center for Disease Control recommends vaccinating children with the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine early. Adults who haven't been vaccinated and haven't come in contact with the disease should talk to their health professional about how many doses are required.
A new study found more people with type 1 diabetes are using GLP-1 drugs despite limited evidence on their safety and effectiveness for the condition. GLP-1 medications like Ozempic were originally developed to treat people with type 2 diabetes, but some have been found to be safe and effective for things like weight loss in non-diabetic people. Despite this medication labels specifically saying they are not intended for use with type 1 diabetes. However, many doctors are still prescribing them for their type 1 patients, especially those with obesity.
April is Stress Awareness Month, and while you may be acutely aware of your stress in your life, experts say many people may not have all the tools they need to find relief from it.
Mandy Gaither talks to a psychologist about healthy ways to cope with everyday stress.
From home life to work life, you're likely juggling several responsibilities at once, and that can take a toll.
We're living in incredibly stressful times these days, and unfortunately, we often go on autopilot and we don't necessarily take a step back and recognize all the sources of stress in our lives and how it might be affecting us emotionally and physically.
Psychologist Adam Borland with Cleveland Clinic says sometimes people go down unhealthy avenues when trying to cope, like drinking alcohol or using other substances. Instead, he challenges those who are stressed to focus on a healthy daily routine that includes healthy eating, exercising, and getting quality sleep. Focusing on self-care can also help your body recharge.
I often encourage my patients to engage in meditation or some sort of deep breathing exercise.
Borland says to also engage in social activities, maintain communication with sources of support, and tap into hobbies or creative outlets that you enjoy and can give you a break. He says to also stay in touch with your doctor or mental health professional and monitor behaviors that may be caused by stress that seem unusual, like arguments with loved ones or a drop in work productivity.
We always want to take a step back and get a sense of where is my stress level right now and what can I do to prioritize self-care.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Still ahead, calling all animal lovers, what a new study shows about how your pets can be good for your
Forests, the lungs of the planet, the best carbon drawdown tool we have. Imagine a world where forests can thrive and flourish hand in hand with humanity. If we can look after them, we can protect our future with nature.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
Entire towns were completely submerged. 1,000 miles of coastline was impacted.
In collaboration with the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism.
Do you think they really grasp the dire straits that are facing Alaska Native villages?
The impact of climate change on Alaska's native villages.
It is discouraging to think about our way of life, our life way changing.
We have to wake up before it becomes too late.
Premieres Tuesday, April 22nd, 10, 9 Central, only on PBS.
I hear the echoes all through the meadows. Breathe in and let go. That sweet surrender. I've been running all through the night. You can knock me down, but I've got my will to survive. Rise up, rise up.
Together, we can make real change happen.
New research suggests having a cat or dog could improve your well-being as much as even being married or even meeting up regularly with friends and family. This study was published last week in the journal Social Indicators Research. It also found having a pet could help with life satisfaction as much as having some more money in your pockets. One of the paper's co-authors said if pets improve life satisfaction as much as the study suggests, policymakers should make it easier for people to own them. One example would be relaxing regulations that restrict renters' access to pets.
I know for me, I love my cat, and so I see it every day, how much I'm just a lot less stressed.
I know my mental health would be better if I had a dog myself. I hope my mom's watching so she can hear that, but yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, Steve, what's the best time to walk your dog tomorrow?
You know, for the rest of this week, it's going to be the afternoon and early evening, and that's because that's really when we're going to see a break in the rain. Or if they don't like to go for walks very often, you can wait till the weekend, and that's when we're going to see a really long-term break in this. We're going to start to see those temperatures jump back up before we get kind of pump-faked back into these cold temperatures, and that rain will come back at the beginning of next week. But it's nothing going to be like it was last week, so we don't have to worry about any flooding or anything like that. But definitely be on the lookout for anything that may be changing, as we have such variable weather patterns this time of year that you never really know. So stay tuned for Newswatch and your weather apps to find out more.
Well, good. I'm so excited to get that break this weekend. Some of the warmer temperatures.
Yeah, and then this weekend I'm gonna take in that nicer weather while we have it for those couple days. So
yes. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Allison Patton.
And I'm Donovan Varney. Stay tuned to the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.
Support comes from Explore Hocking Hills. Mind, body, and soul can revive, surrounded by the natural beauty of the Hocking Hills. Outdoor adventures, cabins, and family festivals await. Information and details at exploreHockingHills.com.